You too shall be part of the spooks. Hello. Welcome.
Welcome to the show, folks. It's
This
always
is
a show.
it. She presses record without me knowing.
I
and
told
it's
him.
like, how dare?
How
dare?
I'm like, are you ready? Are you ready? And it's always,
No.
wait a minute. And then it was like, okay.
Because I got stuff
And then,
to do.
and then,
Not really, but
it was a matter of,
I ain't got jack shit.
anyhow, for today's cup of coffee, we have another wonderful suggestion by GreyeDeath. And I appreciate this because I already know what I know, and it's a matter of me trying to go back in those few brain cells that are left.
Do you actually know what you know?
Some of it. So,
Are you sure about that?
well, no, I'm not sure about anything.
Gaslighting 101.
Yes,
Do you know
I've
what you
had
know?
that all my life. Anyhow, we appreciate it when somebody says, "Hey, have you thought about researching this, or are you aware of this?" And if you don't want to send an email, you can put that in the comment section. And so we definitely appreciate that. And this one was another one that was way cool, which is the Zone of Silence.
The Zone of Silence.
It is. And it's in Mexico. And I had never heard of it before, so got to researching.
Cool.
And this comes from Historic Mysteries, and that's by Les Hewitt. And the full name of the article is Zone of Silence, Anomalies in the Mexican Desert. And the link will be in the description box. And bear with us, bear with me, because sinus issues.
And I got cough because
So-
vape making me sick.
Voice is not top quality, but I'm going to press through. Because that's what we do. We soldier on. Regardless, we soldier on.
Press through like glue.
Yes. So, the Zone of Silence has actually sort of been thought of in the same way that the Bermuda Triangle has. And that's something. Some of these that seem to have been done to death, I have a tendency to sort of leave those alone.
Yeah.
You know. So, but this one was new. And I'm going to do the best I can to pronounce the Spanish words. So, again, have patience with me.
Just a little bit.
It's like it's the little mountain woman, and God love her. She's doing the best that she can.
Dan, you really struggle to pronounce this shit.
People's like, and then some of them, it's like you need to have closed, closed captions on this.
What was it that you said about the news anchor that I was telling you about that has been struggling?
That I
this night?
related to her terribly.
Yeah, identified.
Can you imagine? What is it? Is it an AI robot or whoever it is that tries to translate things? Can you imagine?
Dear God.
Ooh, we may need to do that one day just for shits and giggles.
Oh, it has been known to fuck up. Like, especially when they first implemented it.
There was some funny things. There's some funny things on that.
You need new medication. Try some serious cocaine is what one of the translations was. Or you need some serious cocaine.
Oh, that is not medical advice in today's...
Apparently it was by the captions.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That is hilarious. Anyhow, the Zone of Silence is also known as the Mapimi Silent Zone.
Mapimi?
Uh-huh.
Mapimi.
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 Yeah.
Okay.
Anyhow, it's
That's weird.
not
It's
far.
cute.
It's not far from Bolson de Mapimi in Mexico, and says there's a 50-kilometer area of desert that has earned the name La Zona de Silencio.
Who is naming this shit?
It's the Zone of Silence. That's not hard. That's
Okay.
not hard, and it's in the Trino Vortex, and this is where Chihuahua, Durango, and Coahuila.
Koala.
No, that's in Australia. They meet, and that's roughly 400 miles south of El Paso, Texas.
Okay.
And you did know that Chihuahua was not just the dog; it was a place.
No, yeah, I knew that.
Yeah. It's a type
They're
of
spelled
cheese.
the same way.
It's a type of cheese also that is amazing.
So it's a cheese dog?
It's a cheese dip. So
It's a cheese dog.
they've got lots of things that comes from Chihuahua. I'd like to visit there someday. That would be
A
great.
corn dog, except for the dog, it's cheese.
Okay, that sounds good.
Those are actually a thing. Those are Korean fried.
the cheese things.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds wonderful too. Anyhow, this region of the Mexican wasteland is remote, and Cabellos is about 25 miles away. Residents of the surrounding towns have been aware of the strange legends about the zone for a considerable time, and as many legends go, few, if any, have been proven true. So there is skepticism in on this.
Just a little bit.
Well, this comes from the history. It looked like it came from the History Channel-esque thing. And I'm like, they're talking about this being possibly bogus, and aren't they the people that have ancient aliens?
Yeah. Yeah, they are. Which is ironic, isn't it?
A little bit, just a little bit. And it says the first rumors began in the 1930s after pilot Francisco Sarabia had to make an emergency landing due to radio anomalies. And Sarabia, I think it's Sarabia is how it is, was over the region when he began to notice that his plane instruments began to act odd. And that includes his radio equipment, which failed to work, period.
Ugh.
Now, when you're in an airplane, you sort of need the instruments and you sort of need a radio.
Yeah, just a little bit.
At least in today's world, you do. Then in 1964, a Pemex engineer, it's P-E-M-E-X, so it's some kind of company, and that is Harry de la Pena, was surveying the desert, and during his expedition, he encountered a dead or silent zone that affected his radio communications. And it was de la Pena who described the area as zone of silence.
Cool.
And
Sorry.
so this was the term that stuck, and that's why it's known as that today. And having taken great interest in the radio anomalies, he went back to the zone several times in an attempt to repeat the phenomenon. Mm-hmm. And what he discovered was that the dead zones were not fixed. They appeared to move from place to place.
Oh, wow.
And he was unable to pinpoint the exact locations of the radio interference. Ooh. Sort of like our cell phones here.
Yeah, just a little bit.
So we do understand that, and a lot of that has to do with seasons, leaves, satellite position, but this probably was much before. At 64, that was way before any of this stuff was available. Mm-hmm. It says the reports of the radio blackouts gave the zone of silence an eerie reputation. Then, during the Cold War, the White Sands Missile Base in New Mexico had been conducting a series of tests using the Athena RTV, which stands for Reentry Test Vehicle rockets. The missions were a joint task between the USAF and the U.S. Army and were designed to investigate the impacts on the missiles as a result of reentry into the atmosphere. On July 11th, of course. So I couldn't make this shit up if I tried. Have you noticed how many 11s and 22s, even what were, our things that we're reporting?
It follows you.
It does.
It follows you.
Anyhow, July 11th, 1970, the Athena RTV V123D rocket launched from Green River Complex in Utah. Its final stage carried a capsule of radioactive cobalt-57.
What the fuck?
And was supposed to drop down in the desert of White Sands, New Mexico. If these are test rockets, why do they have this shit on it?
Yeah.
I mean, ain't that just asking for trouble?
Uh-huh. Okay.
Now, the rocket developed a fault and overshot the destination by more than 500 miles. Which is a tremendous amount, and crashed in the zone of silence.
Wow.
And this was about 500 miles south of the border. So that can cause a little bit of diplomatic, issue. Mm-hmm. Now, the U.S. government, of course, they requested permission to go collect their mess.
Yeah.
Which the Mexican government's like, yes, go clean up your mess.
Yeah,
and Yeah. And it says,
our territory. Y'all
it
fucked
says
up.
that they worked quickly and covertly to secure the area and began a search for the radioactive capsule.
Oh my God. Of course.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Let's leave that there and not know where that's at.
Right?
You know.
Right?
And it says, as the legends go, when the retrieval team entered the site, they quickly realized that something was affecting all communications because people had tried to tell them. And it says, without effective communications, coordinating the teams was more difficult. Well, yeah. And it says that something more than just interrupted radio signals was happening. Television and satellite signals were also experiencing disruptions. So the popular conclusion is that local magnetic fields have somehow created a dark zone for modern technology. Now, I don't know that I would consider that modern at that point. That was 1970. Mm-hmm. And it says, there were no official reports that suggest the U.S. government indeed experienced any of these problems. Right, because the government is just, you know, they are so transparent.
Right.
So anyhow, after several weeks, the U.S. government eventually found the capsule, retrieved the debris, and conducted a thorough radioactive cleanup of the entire area. About 20 tons of radioactive soil, including plants, were removed and deposited back in the White Sands Desert.
Wow.
20 tons. Mm-hmm. We need to get Greta to go pay a visit to White Sands.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, it says countless other reports of anomalous events have surfaced about the zone of silence. It's saying that few of the reports are credible because somebody, you know, they have to do that.
Somebody somewhere.
And overwhelmingly majority of them have not received an adequate explanation. That's why it's paranormal and supernatural.
Exactly.
It says that these anecdotes chronicle everything from strange lights in the sky to rectangular aircraft to people appearing almost out of nowhere. And there have been enough reports of activity that some people have drawn parallels between the zone of silence and other areas of the world, such as the Dragon's Triangle close to Japan. I'm not familiar with that one either. We'll have to explore. And, of course, the famed Bermuda Triangle. And it says the zone runs in a near longitudinal alignment to the Giza Plateau and the Bermuda Triangle between 25 degrees and 29 degrees north. So that's interesting. That very much could go in with those ley lines.
Yeah, it could.
Yeah. It says there appear to be a number of anomalies about the zone that can be classed as unusual.
Really?
Does this mean... Did this mean...
No.
Did he even read what he was writing for real? Anyhow, one of the traits most often associated with the area, high levels of magnetite and uranium. So that's pretty interesting. It says some investigators believe that these higher levels of minerals are possible for the lack of signals deep within the zone. Well, with the magnetite, you know, that could be an explanation.
Yeah.
And it says purportedly many meteorites that penetrate the Earth's atmosphere tend to end up close to that area too. It says a lot of these meteorites consist of iron or other metals that are attracted to magnetic fields. And however, some experts point out that the zone of silence has not attracted any more meteors than normal. Is there a scientist someplace that's their job to count the meteorites?
Apparently, so.
Wonder what their retirement pay is going to be. I'd say probably in at least 6 digits on that.
Yeah, probably.
Taxpayer monies. Okay. There's also been testimonies about other types of strange things in the zone, including strange beings. Specifically, there are...
Strange beings.
For real. It says that there are supposedly 3 beings that have been seen on a regular basis, and that it consists of one woman accompanied by 2 men, All of them are blonde. It says one ranch in particular claims more than its fair share of encounters with this trio. According to the staff there at the ranch, all 3 members of the group are dressed in clothing that is not at all suitable for a desert environment. Supposedly, they all spoke fluent Spanish and were not only extremely attractive, but also extremely polite. So that's not a bad thing.
No, that's not bad at all.
And that every visit had the same motive, that they would request to fill their canteens with water from the well on the property. They never once asked for food or for anything else. And it says, according to the ranch staff, when one ranch hand asked where they had originated from, their only reply was from above. So I'm thinking Pleiadians on that.
Yeah.
Sounds like the Pleiadians.
I honestly don't know what that could have been.
Then in October of 1975, fossil hunters Ernesto and Josefina Diaz ventured into the zone to collect samples and any unusual rocks that they could find. And they saw that a rainstorm was heading in their direction, and they noticed it and took action to avoid being caught up in a flash flood. Mm-hmm. But it proved too late for them to completely avoid any trouble. Now, as they tried to outrun the storm, they found out that they couldn't, because some of those they hit and that's it. It's just like pouring water out of a bucket. The ground around their pickup truck began to transform into a boggy swamp that stranded them inside their vehicle. And it says that suddenly 2 men with above average height approached the vehicle, and they offered to help free the trapped couple. It says both rescuers wore identical clothing, a yellow raincoat and a cap. And as quickly as the pair showed up, the Diaz's truck somehow made its way onto the firm ground and out of danger. Now, Ernesto ignored the instruction to remain inside the truck because he wanted to personally thank them for helping them. And it says whoever these men were, they vanished without leaving so much as a footprint in the mud.
Dang.
Yeah. And it says that other things, Mexico had a total solar eclipse in 1991, and ever since then, the nation has been one of the most active UFO hotspots in the world. And some of those within the zone predates the eclipse by a number of years, some being the sightings. So it had been going on long before 91. But also, one report of a UFO sighting that was in September of 1976 in Cabellos, the closest town to the zone, said that a little before 9 p.m., the residents began reporting a massive rectangular-shaped object just hovering in the sky. Of course, it was hovering in the sky. Witnesses say it was about 300 meters in length, with alternating colored lights pulsating around its rim. Wow. And then the object created this deep hum, which very much agitated the dogs in the area, and they howled and would not stop barking at it while it hovered. And then all of a sudden, the object disappeared within a second or two. I mean, it just took off. That's typical for UFO sightings.
Bye!
And witnesses all agreed. Yeah, all agreed that it was headed towards the zone of silence. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not spooky at all.
No. So, of course, there's many people. You've always got the skeptics.
Always.
They want a scientific explanation. And it says that it's interesting. The Mexican government and scientific organizations have been at the forefront of research within the zone. But their primary objectives appear to focus on the flora and fauna of the desert habitat.
Yeah.
And someone was quoted, but they didn't tell who the quote came from. So an anonymous source stated, the environment of the area is unique and has its own species. 31 species of endemic plants, such as a certain species of cacti, 75 species of protected animals, particularly the desert tortoise. I love those. And, of course, those are currently declared a vulnerable species. It's also possible to find fossils and arrowheads in respectable quantities, given the paleontological and pre-Hispanic past of the region. I practiced on that one.
I'm proud of you. You did good. You're doing great, sweetie.
In 1979, the area was declared part of the Mapimbi Bolson Biosphere Reservoir, and a laboratory had been built next to a mountain range.
Wow.
The previous year. End quote. And of course, over the years, the legends about the zone of silence spread throughout the world because people like hearing cool, odd stuff.
They do. They eat that shit up.
Yes, they do. Because,
it's good.
Well, the other stuff is...
It's fascinating.
The other stuff that is being presented as fact is more bizarre than this stuff right here. People just, they accept it more than they do this.
Yeah.
And of course they're saying that the evidence doesn't exist because people never know what they've experienced. Now we know that. But he also puts here, it says it doesn't mean that the stories about the loss of radio communications are completely false.
Right.
It says that the mountain ranges around the zone may possibly cause some interference.
Some.
Right. And of course, you've got the skeptics that they say, oh, it's ridiculous, it's fraudulent, it's superstitious, and it's just stories to feed our imagination. From the same people that bring you ancient aliens.
And if you try to step foot there, people will shoot you. Just like at Area 51.
Oh, Area 51, yeah, they've shown very much where people have tried to approach the gates and the people in the trucks and stuff. Came right out of nowhere, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. Somehow they knew.
Yeah. And I think even as far as with that, it would be interesting for somebody to send drones into, with the approval of the Mexican government, to send drones into the area to see what they could see.
Yeah.
Of course, if they're in Mexico, they wouldn't have to have the approval of the government.
Right.
But I think that they shoot down the drones over Area 51. Yeah.
How? Seriously?
Because they are the eyes in the sky. They have surveillance, they have radar, they have all kinds of stuff, and yet it's this, oh, move along, there's nothing to see here. We're not hiding anything.
And yet they do everything they can to hide it.
Well, it's like this.
Or to make it as obvious.
Something's going on. Either it is a matter of misdirection or whatever, but you don't put that much effort to protect an area where nothing is going on. Mm. But now I think a lot of these things, it's a matter of hiding in plain sight.
Oh, yeah. That's what I think.
So anyhow, the zone of silence, that's some really cool stuff, especially about the people coming to help. I like the fact that they were very polite and they were very helpful and they didn't ask for anything. Wonder why it had to be water from that specific well.
I don't know.
That was interesting.
There was something in there that they were needing.
Possibly. So, it's cool stuff. GreyeDeath, thank you again. Appreciate you. Mm-hmm. So, things to ponder. Lots of things to ponder. I ponder.
Things to invade your dreams.
Yeah, really. I ponder, and it's a matter of being able to getting the ponderings gathered together because the winter weather is beginning to affect me worse.
Yeah,
Anyhow,
and my allergies I got the drippy nose.
His allergies, I don't know. He was fine. Well, I don't know that he's fine all day, but he was not this bad, and he went into allergens and totally messed himself up. And as far as the cat that had the surgery yesterday, it's reported that he is doing fine and that he's enjoying being an indoor kitty for a while, which is good.
His ass is no longer falling out.
No, he's doing well. The surgery went well, so he was doing well today. For anybody who cared.
I cared.
So anyhow, that's what we got in this moment. So if you've had paranormal, supernatural experiences, encounters, UFOs, aliens, cryptids, and definitely if you're aware of interesting phenomena and areas of research, send those to us. If you've got local, regional, family, myths, or legends, you can always email us at cupofcoffeewithscream @gmail.com.
You looked at me like
I
you didn't
did.
know.
No, I just totally was the distraction, the constant distraction. God love you.
Constant distraction.
I know you're
Take
not.
your ADHD medication.
I know that you're not trying to be distracting, but my God, it's distracting.
Take your ADHD medication.
If you would also like to leave a suggestion in the comments, if you don't want to take the time to send an email, that's okay too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, one of those. Just have a beautiful, blessed day. Keep pondering the odd, the unusual, because it deserves respect. Mm-hmm. Those people who've had experiences with the odd and unusual, they deserve respect.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And know that you're loved. That's the main thing.
Mm-hmm. Take your allergy medicine too.
Oh, God, yes.
Don't forget to like, share, comment, and most of all, subscribe and click that little notification bell in case you want notifications of our daily uploads. Yes.
We'll see you on the next cut. Bye.
Oh, tissues. Oh!